I'm Butak, and welcome to my Filipino adventure. This is gonna be a little tour of my workshop, my craft shop. Some of the things that I make, just as a hobby, somewhat as a hobby. I do sell some of these, and I have made props for short films and some small movie productions and stuff. So what I like to do, there's two different techniques here that I use mostly. And the first one is silicone molds and resin props. I'll sculpt something. In this case, I took a, do I have one? Yes. In this case, sorry about moving it around. This was a gun from, I think it was Mattel or Hasbro. It was supposed to be the Scout Trooper gun from Star Wars, and it's very inaccurate. It's nothing like really it's the top part, but the handle is not right. So I took one of these, cast it, I cut it down, remolded it, and I reworked it. And then once that was done, I built a form out of poster board, and I fill it with this tin cure silicone, and I make it in two pieces, and then I cover it in poster board, or you can just use like electrical tape so it keeps its form, and stand it up, and then you pour in it a plastic, which is a two-part resin. You mix part A with part B. You only have a few minutes because it dries fast, and it gives off a lot of heat also. And you pour it into the form, let it dry, it doesn't take long. And then you separate the form. And you can see here's what it looks like, the mold. You throw the plastic in here, you peel and this is where it was poured in, so I'd cut this off. And then you get like little air bubbles and things like this that you'll have to fill and sand the seam where the two pieces met. So you have to clean them all up. Here's the scope part here. And then, so after you clean them all up, screw them together, and paint them up. They look quite nice. I don't have any finished ones, but here's one that's been cleaned. This one's been cleaned up and primed. I sanded it up, filled all the holes, and I'll screw the scope onto the side here, and then I'll paint it and weather it, make it look like it's used. And you can see the difference of how the toy one and what in the movie is much more accurate. So I sell these I used to sell those on eBay. I haven't did too much lately. So this is an example of something I took existing and reworked it to make it more accurate. Over here is something I actually sculpted myself out of wood and clay. And here's the silicone forms, and you pour the resin, let it dry, and then you pull it out. And this is an Imperial cog. I made this out of clay and wood. And here's the form. And I probably pull around 25, maybe 30 pieces if I'm lucky. These do deteriorate. The silicone does, the reaction causes quite a bit of heat, and it does break the molds down. Here's the front and back pieces that I made. We got a light here. So what I did was I sculpted one of these stormtroopers. I made a mold, a silicone mold, put resin in there, and I duplicated these so I wouldn't have to sculpt each one. And plus I wanted them all to be exactly the same. So I sculpted one and duplicated it, and then I sculpted the Darth Vader. And this is the front and back, and this is the lid. It's supposed to be a lightsaber. Of course, it's a lot smaller than a lightsaber, but it's just supposed to be decorative. And I tried to make it like carved out of bone or some type of metal. So then, here's one of the kits here, unfinished of course. Oops, knew that was going to happen because you have to screw them together and glue them. Okay, and the lid will go on like So you get the idea. So the front and the back are the same, the sides are the same. So that's a mold, that's a mold. So this is 3 molds, which cost quite a bit in silicone, and you go through a lot of resin. There's a few pounds of plastic. And then you'll have to put a wood base on the bottom, and there's some trim pieces too that I have molds for. And here's the finished one. I did this one in a metal appearance. I call it carbonite. I put metal handles on the side, and you can see it's supposed to look like metal, or like I say, carbonite. And the trim pieces, a wood bottom. And then the lid here, you can see it's real thin here. So I added a piece of wood around it. And then here's the top. And then you open it up. I put some hinges here. And some quilted fabric over poster board that fits in here. A little wire to keep it up. These are actually printed on my 3D printer. These are plastic. I didn't really have anything to do with these. I just printed them up on my printer. So, and I have another one upstairs that I'll show you at the end of the video in a different color. So here's the silicone. Here's the silicone, and this is the hardener. You add it 1 to 10. So for every 10 parts of this, you add 1 part of that, and it hardens it up. It takes overnight to dry. And this right here is the resin. It's 2 parts, so you add those equal volume, and here's like a little mold right here. This is a little quick, dirty one I made up. And sometimes they come out, and you can see they start deteriorating. This one's caught a little bit of silicone as it dried, so this mold's not going to last too much longer. And here's over different molds. These are all molds in there. Bigger ones, smaller ones that I made over the years. There's a big heavy one. Some electronics stuff that I use in some of them. Here's some different things that I've made. And the other thing I do, and I haven't set this up in a while. So, oh, sorry, the furnace is on. But this is a vacuum form machine. So basically it's just like a press board or a pegboard, and it's all built with wood frame. I even siliconed it so there'd be no air escaping. And then here you can see you can put a shop vac. I've got an attachment here. You put a shop vac on the bottom of this, and then what you do is you cut a piece of ABS plastic or styrene, and you trap it, and I got some screws. I screw this together nice and tight with the plastic in the center, and then I put it in the oven until the plastic is very pliable, it's very saggy, and then you put this over the form with the plastic, and then you put, hold on, I'll show you, let me see, like this. For example, this is what you call a buck. Hold on, I'm seeing if we got a finished piece here. So, and then you put that on there, you turn the vacuum, and it sucks the plastic up all around it. And then you take it apart, you trim it off, and here is a piece of plastic made from that. And like in this case, there was 2 parts of it, and I glued it together, and I made a prop. So here's the bigger one, and here's a smaller one. And you can make, let me see, here's a buck of a helmet, and I run the plastic over that. And let me see. Yeah, so then I trim it up, and this is a helmet I was making for something. So that's how you can use, and here's some more up here. That's how you can use the vacuum form. This is a half of a blaster I made out of vacuum form. And here's another example too. This is for a prop I was making for someone. And here's the finished piece. This is what I wanted to make. And this is what I made. See, it's just some zip ties, some dowel rods, and a tube. And then I put the plastic over it, and I made these are supposed to be canisters of some type that they needed for a science fiction movie. So I can make a bunch of these. With this form, I can make hundreds of these things. Just keep on vacuum forming. So that's a little glance of what we're doing. I'm going to take you upstairs and show you my other jewelry box, and then we'll wrap it up. This is the brown one I made. You might have seen this in the back of me in many of my videos. So this one I went a different approach. I've got some rusted end pieces. I've got these instead of the other knobs. It's the same kit, just finished differently. And then the inside I have like this fake leather, and I use a leather strap here. It's full, as you can see. I use it, but it's the same fake leather inside there. This wants to catch here, hold on. So that's the other one that I make. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed that. Just another one of my hobbies I like to do. So for now, I'm gonna wrap it up. Subscribe, comment, like. If you know anything about this, put it in the comments. And as always,